Hey everyone, welcome to Startups on Demand, sponsored by New York Tech Media. Today, I have the amazing opportunity to talk to an incredible marketer, Andra Rubinstein. She's a true marketing strategy expert. I had the pleasure of working with Andra and collaborating with her on different points throughout her career. Her path into marketing wasn't standard. She served in the IDF radio station as a producer and news editor. She also worked as a medical malpractice lawyer, but fell in love with the startups ecosystem from supporting and mentoring early stage companies, working with the Israeli Expert Institute. She created several global e-commerce brands, fully understanding the end user, which really comes in handy, building B2B to C strategies for renovai, which we're going to kind of discuss in this conversation as well. She's a visual AI SaaS platform, which renovai is a visual AI SaaS platform for lifestyle brands. Andra, she joined the company 2 years ago as VP Marketing. She built the brand from ground up and is basically what you call a full stack marketer. So I'm super excited to have to start on this conversation. Andra, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the intro. We can just wrap it up here.
It is a good intro. And it's a well-deserved intro. Because a lot of just a few hints here for the audience. So a lot of people, people who know me know that I admire only several marketers. And Andra is definitely one of them. So I'm really excited to kind of ask her so many, in-depth questions about marketing and see what she has to say. And for everyone who's not in marketing, it's not only going to be like a marketing conversation, like people who are into branding, people who are into, business development. This podcast, this episode will probably have so much value for them. So I want to start out with B2B branding, something you have, you've kind of dominated this. You've built renovai's B2B brand. What is kind of like your inspiration when you're looking at other B2B startups or companies out there?
I think that the brands that really are able to nail it are the ones that do things that aren't directly related to what it is that they're trying to sell and have like their own spin. For example, there's this cybersecurity company called Pantera, which, it's a very not sexy, a very profitable domain.
Profitable is sexy.
Yeah. So, and they do a lot of things with creatives. They have like this cartoon, weekly cyber cartoon, and they use a lot of comedians with employer branding, and everything that they do looks like it can be adapted to so many things and completely out of the box. Also B2B brands that do things that are both like online but connect offline. Oribi, which was acquired by LinkedIn, they sent boxes to their users with guidance throughout the steps of their funnel. And they had like a weekly task with their gift boxes. And it like completely complemented what they do online. And companies that also make it look fun, like Walnut, which really made sales seem sexy and common and like a pain point for everyone. So it's like playing with the concept and not doing another ebook or like you get what I'm saying. It's like doing things that will reach more people, not necessarily just your target audience, and make it fun and playful and engaging. Those are the things that make your brand memorable.
I love it. So there's like this, there's this cohesive notion in like the B2B landscape where like, people say like, focus on your niche. If you're like in, cyber SaaS, focus on your niche, like your end customer, which I understand and it's completely true and everything. But if you take like 10 cybersecurity companies and they all focus on one niche, it looks the same. The marketing looks the same. The case studies looks the same. The ebooks looks the same. And if you take kind of like a step forward and you kind of look at it more like a broad retrospect, like you said, and you treat it like, like a big brand, like a big cyber brand.
And also like joining forces. I really, really believe in co-branded content and partnerships. I think a lot of good ideas that have a lot of added value for both sides and can really create really brilliant things together. Even like sometimes combining things that have nothing. For another company like WaterGen, it's a company that creates water from air. And they were the sponsors for the WaterGen tennis tournament, which has no direct connection to that, but everyone was talking about it. WaterGen is now like a household name, especially here. They brought significant tennis players. So yeah, that's also like a good path to get inspiration from.
Love it. And what I love about Renovai, or what it's not specifically, I love the product and everything, but if we take a look at like the marketing and the branding aspect that you kind of led over there, you guys are a B2B2C company. So your client is a B2C or B2C retailers, and furniture designers and e-commerce brands, and they need to take care of their own, and consumer. So how are you able to kind of put a grasp on it and really kind of dominate the B2B2C landscape?
So again, it's a process that continues to evolve with the customers that we don't call them customers, we call them partners, because we grow with them and our products are completely customizable. And we work a lot on localization because, we're selling to companies that are located in the United States. And we also create rooms for companies in Singapore, which obviously look completely different. And at the end of the day, we're an iframe that is being located on their website, but the ones that are eventually using that are their end users. So everything that we do and every solution that we develop, we always do that with the end customer in mind. And also when we market our things and when we develop mutual strategies with our customers, it's always like that two audiences that we constantly have to think about. So one hand, solving pain points for the companies that we sell to, and on the other, solving pain points for their customers and what they will find intriguing and interesting. So I think that's the main thing for B2B2C is you always have, it's like a dual communication channel. You always have to speak to two heads, to two hearts, to two minds, if you like.
Love it, two hearts. Yeah, we sometimes forget the emotional aspect, which is super important in marketing.
Yeah, I don't believe that also like B2B people think, actually it's kind of starting to change now and people are toning it down because at the end of the day, you sell to a person, even though it's a person that sits within a company that has like no specific name or identity, but it's a person and he has to connect with that and he has to relate with that. And he has to understand why he's bringing in your product to their company.
100%. It's like, we say it's not B2B, like business to business, it's P2P, like person to person.
Person to person, definitely.
That's like how you kind of need to think about it. And, we kind of, in like our private conversations, me and you, we talked a lot about like the essentials that, B2B startups need to have to start with in terms of marketing. And like, I don't know if this will sound a bit controversial, but I think a lot of startups are not doing it correctly in terms of like how they're allocating their early on budgets, how they're thinking about things. If you look on like the classical, Series A or like seed or Series A startup, they do paid channels. They try to do lead generation, through LinkedIn ads, Google ads, Facebook remarketing probably. And then they do like this outreach game, like they do like LinkedIn outreach, spamming with DM, because they have a lot of anxiety because like they have to deliver, they have to show they have like product market fit, they want to raise Series B, they want to kind of like continue. So, but like from what I've seen, and you could probably kind of elaborate on it, is that seed level startups and Series A level startups that have put in more emphasis on like actually building a brand are the startups that have made, that are, growing and are doing Series B and Series C, funding announcements and stuff like that. What do you think about that?
First of all, I think that products, even if they're the best products in the world, can sell themselves. It's like people say, yeah, well, the third child, it raises itself. No, so products also, they don't sell themselves. And I don't believe in just like selling a product. You have to sell a story. You have to create a brand. That what will stay there. Obviously, the thing is budget, because seed startups and round A startups, they have a very, very small budget. And that's what makes it very different, because you can't really experiment. First of all, because you don't really have no money to waste. And because you don't always have like real legitimate experimental results, because the testing group isn't big enough. So people are afraid of like taking chances, and they want to like bet on sure things. But from what I've learned, and we see it with a lot of companies, that, for example, like using PR generates a lot of leads. Like, you know that because like you're not an old school PR company. But for example, what we generated tons of leads from an article that was on a really good placement on a newspaper and website that most of our customers look at. And it generated a lot more leads. We actually closed like 2 customers from that. Instead of like spreading ourselves all over the place with LinkedIn paid ads and everything. And the team is also much smaller. So you have to be very accurate with what it is you do and what you focus on. But it's like, it's a holistic story. I believe in telling the company's story, what it is that we're here to do. And people are like afraid of not getting immediate results, but it will come. It's a relationship. People also don't fall in love immediately. It's something that builds up, and they read something that you write, and they read something that was written about you, and they see a nice video that you created, and they learn about your results. So it's all of the things that are related to as long-term, but they're really not. So it's being like overlooked a lot of times. Also, another thing that's very crucial for startups, you pivot a lot. So you have to change your strategy all the time. So you have to be comfortable with feeling like slightly out of control sometimes and trying things that you won't see their immediate effect. But if you do it correctly, then it will pay off with dividends.
Love it. Love it. And so like what I've been talking about a lot, and I've been, all my clients know this, and, a lot of the people that, consult with me and I talk to them, I always tell them, listen, guys, the startup landscape today is a game of touch points. It's a multi-touch point game. It has lots of layers. Your target audience, you can't just be hitting your target audience with LinkedIn ads or with like direct spammy LinkedIn outreach. You have to your audience needs to hear about you from a lot of different angles. If it's, from someone writing about you, if it's from an influencer blog, if it's from, a YouTube video, like
again, it's not just an awareness issue, it's also a credibility issue. If you're out there and people are talking about you and using you and commenting about what it is that you do, then people will know that you are the real thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, in an arena where like everyone can kind of like self-publish his products, having someone else, like a third party, kind of talk about you is like, that can definitely like elevate your brand much more. And I really think like startups need to understand this, especially early on startups, even if they have this like very early anxiety where they're like, oh, we need, clients now.
And again, it's not just for customers. Early stage startups, they're looking for investors, right? And investors and VCs, they see tons of presentations and they hear things that sound the same. So you have to make sure that you stand out also there. It's not just for generating leads. It's for like investment purposes. You have to be different. You have to be unique. You have to look like you're bigger than you are to make them make you bigger than you are.
Love it. Love it. I love it. When my team talk internally about you, Andra, when we talk, internally about you, so we always say that what makes you, I think, like a brilliant marketer is that you have both sides of the coin, which is you've got the strategy side, being able to think long-term, being able to think about brand, being able to do like customer, high level customer research. And on the other side, you're like super detailed and you're able to, to manage like really hands-on so many tactics, so many marketing tactics. And I feel like that's like the ultimate, VP marketer, And I feel like today, too many VP marketers are only strategy folks because they don't have like the hands-on experience at all. And too many VP marketers are only all in tactics. And I think you kind of created that, kind of perfect balance. And I think it shows. And also saves probably a lot of budget for, for renovai. But
first of all, thank you for not making me feel like bipolar. I really didn't have a choice with renovai, for example, because you really I had to do it all. But I think that tactics are pointless without a proper strategy. At the end of the day, everything has to connect. Like you were talking about multiple touch points. So it's also like multiple tactics. You have to have your strategy in point, have to understand where it is that you want to go, where you want to be, and then do specific steps to make that happen. Like a lot of people are doing like podcasting. Okay, so every brand now creates their own podcast. Okay, so what are you going to do with that? Who are you going to invite to the podcast? Who is going to listen? You have to understand that, for example, like one reason that we're doing a podcast is to establish a relationship with prospects that we might be having a harder time reaching. And now we're starting a conversation with them.
Love it.
So the tactic is creating a podcast, but it's part of the general strategy of the people that we want to reach.
Love it. I love it. And so just to kind of like put an emphasis on this, like the podcast play, the modern podcast play is not, it's not, only for brand awareness. It's literally a chance for you to talk to prospects, completely. Interview them, build a relationship with them, and even improve your product based on your conversations with them.
Yeah, and it's always it's like you do user interviews in a way. You get to learn more about them and what they need and what they plan, and basically strategize, do your strategy according to their strategy. So yeah.
And another a nice thing that I saw, from seeing our clients do podcasts, for my podcast, from a lot of different stuff, is that once you let's say interview a prospect, then a competitor of that prospect from his same industry watches the interview and he's like, they interviewed this guy, and they are also interested in jumping on the podcast or learning about the company's products. So it turns into this viral cycle that is really that does generate lots of brand awareness. And I think like this takes me to kind of like my next question is, which we kind of talked about previously, is what is like the archetype of the ultimate modern marketer, in-house modern marketer right now in the startup nation?
I think that the good marketers, the good new age marketers are, it's nothing related to marketing and it's nothing related to the technical aspect. It's completely interpersonal skills. It's being able to listen also to your peers and to the industry and to everything that's going on, and build relationships. Because, for example, when you don't have budget, then that's time to call on favors from people that you previously helped. So that's also very important. And a lot of marketeers are like afraid of technology. So they don't use enough technology within their marketing stack, which is super important when you have to be aligned with other departments within the company itself. And they're sometimes afraid of like the deep tech of their technology. But in order to sell your product good, don't sell it. In order to tell the story of your product properly, you have to know all of its attributes and know it inside out. Obviously, I'm not going to start writing code now, but I know exactly what our AI and machine learning abilities do for people. So don't be afraid of the tacky part. And also like know know social media platforms inside out, ask a lot of questions, and listen, no marketer is good at everything. Some of us are more visual. Some of us do a lot of more content writing. Some of us like navigate towards marketing operations. So ask for help when you're not sure. Have really good mentors, and also try to be on the details to learn what it is that you don't know.
Love it. And if we're already talking about details, you're a master in kind of like customer research, kind of like nailing down the ultimate customer and like really building out a profile for him. How do you know, like specifically, what media channels are the right ones, that you should invest your budget in, especially if you have a limited budget?
The baseline, again, it varies from industry and from what it is from the product that you're selling, but it basically comes down to customer research and buyer persona. You have to do everything is like related to where your prospects are. A lot of companies are now proud that they're tapping into TikTok because everyone is doing TikTok now, but it's pointless if it won't get you anywhere. But you do have to stay like ahead of the curve. For example, we won't necessarily do something related to the metaverse at this point, but we'll talk about it. We'll be around it, and we'll make sure that the specific buyers that we're targeting are interested in that and reading those things and listening to those things and participating in those specific conferences. We got really, really good solid leads from a conference that had nothing to do with like furnishing and home decor, but it was like all about the metaverse and AI. Because we started talking to people and we did like a round table there, and it took off. You just have to make sure to always be where your buyer profile is.
I love it.
And always like make sure that you talk about what worries them. For example, like everything that's going on with the cookieless world that was postponed from last year and will be part of what's happening this upcoming year. So I personally think like it's like it will give the brands the power to change the narrative around advertising. Contextual AI as part of advertising, and using quizzes and stuff like that will meet them, both our product and the end consumers, where we want to meet them.
I love it. I love it. And it also means that, because there's not going to be any cookies, companies are not going to be able to rely solely on on remarketing efforts. So how would you so I know that I think my audience would kind of be interested in knowing how renovai kind of solves this, because I know that you guys are you guys kind of position yourselves into being a really great product and service for when that time comes when there's no cookies.
We solve a specific pain point with that by AI-powered questionnaires, because we really interact with the customer. We don't need any third-party data to build a profile. We do that, and brands will start doing that as well. You build a contextual profile. It's no longer demographics and targeting like that. So we build a conversation with the customer. He answers questions real time, and we're able to deliver exactly what it is that they want. People are afraid of brands using their data if it's used properly, if they feel understood. So
if it serves their experience, if it makes their experience better.
Yeah, if it serves their experience, if it makes them feel comfortable and confident, then all security barriers are down.
I hear you completely. Awesome. So Andra, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think there's a lot of value for our audience. Where can people reach out to you? Where can they follow you?
So on LinkedIn mostly, and I'm the voice behind Renovai. So everything interesting will be on our website and upcoming podcast and blog and our LinkedIn company page.
Love it. Love it. And also check out Renovai's news section and check out some of the recent press coverage they're getting.
Thank you so much. It was
Awesome,
really
guys.
fun.
It was. Thank you.